Alright, let's get on to the next build, the Enterprise C. Welcome one and all. I'm going to try and split this up into sections. Saucer section, secondary hull, final assembly. We'll see if that works in the end. I'm actually going to try and build it that way too. Let's hope it works. So, moving right along, let's get to it. So first up, these are the parts I have. I have the saucer halves, which look nice. I have the rest of the little bits and bobs, the secondary hull and nacelles and whatnot, and of course I have all those clear pieces and all these pieces are on their sprues. First thing I do, like any other modeler, clean them up, right? Clean them up nice off the sprues, sand them, and then it's on to the window drilling. The window drilling is the longest part of this. I want to do it first, get rid of it. I'm doing these by hand, no Dremel. Let's get to it. I didn't break a single bit. Not one bit on this whole thing. I am so excited. So I start off with the bottom saucer. I'm not lighting all the windows because they shouldn't all be lit, right? It doesn't make sense that they'd all be lit. Some people have to, not be in the room and run the fucking ship, right? So I'm doing about 60-70%. I'm assuming 3 people shifts here. DS9, they have the 26-hour day thing, so yeah. So the way I did it, I drill 2 holes in the windows, and I rub the drill bit up and down to elongate the holes. Join the 2 holes and make a slot. Now, on my Enterprise D build, these were really tiny windows. This was number 79 drill bit there, and they broke very easily. This, however, was number 70 drill bit, and yeah, it lasted longer. It didn't break at all. So the bigger drill bit, the better for that. So yeah, on the top saucer I did row by row, and then I finished off with the outside windows. Now you might be saying, hey, why'd you skip those windows in the middle? That's because those windows were actually a different size. They were actually a little bit larger than all the other windows. I found that kind of odd, but I checked the studio model photos and yeah, it had that, right? So I had to use a bigger bit, which was even easier to drill. Once that was done, I did all the windows on the BC and the A deck, right? Because, business, they all got to be there. I drilled all the windows out. Looks fantastic. And here you can see me testing it with a little light in my in the room I'm in. It worked. It looks pretty cool. Next up, secondary hull. The secondary hull, far fewer windows. Didn't take me nearly as long. But you'll notice that at the bottom, it looks like the Enterprise C had sort of an arboretum, almost like the Enterprise refit or the A. It looks like there's a little arboretum thing going on the bottom. So I think I'm going to do something special with that. I opened all those windows up. I think I'm going to put some blue theater gel or something there to make it look like there is an arboretum, but the scale is much too small to actually see what's in there. Kind of cool idea in my mind. Let's see if that works, huh? Oh, and last thing I drilled was the impulse area in the back. There were a couple windows there. Why not? Might as well live right next to the fucking engines. Hell yeah. Now on to the base. Here I'm going to use a different method from the Reliant. The Reliant is fixed onto the support rod. I can't take it off. However, the D7 and the Enterprise D, I can remove, right? But for those 2 models, they only had 1 circuit. This is going to have more than 1. This is going to have 2, right? I'm going to have all the stationary lights, lights that don't move, and I'm going to have the little fast flashing nav lights here and there. So I need to have more than 1 input. Now, my electronics store nearby, they had 3-pin connectors, they had 4, 5, all the way up to 8. However, the ones for 3 pins, they were fairly large. The smallest ones they had, the lowest profile ones they had, were 6 pins, so that's what I took. I'm going to use a 6-pin connector, and when I bought that, I went to go buy a brass tube that can accommodate this, and well, it's the biggest one they had. It fits fairly well, and it fits perfectly into the dome base, but I had to make a hole in the dome base for it to fit. Next up, I had to adjust the model itself so that I could actually fit the 6-pin connector in there. The hole for it just needs to be slightly enlarged, and the way I did it was by measuring how big of a hole I need to make, and then tracing it out onto some masking tape, and then stick it onto the model. However, I had to make sure the hole did not cut into the bottom phaser strip of the Enterprise C. So I shifted it a bit. That's why it looks a little off. So I marked it out with a pencil, and then I cut it out with my Dremel tool. And, well, it fits well. The lip sort of touches the phaser strip. I might have to cut the phaser strip just a little bit. We'll see what happens. But it looks pretty good on that stand. But it won't look like that for quite a while. So, next up, the pylons. I gotta get power to those nacelles. Lovely thing about this Enterprise C, the pylons are split in two. Not unlike the D, where most modelers know that you have to cut little trenches into there. Pain in the butt. Although there are other methods to get around that, but we'll see when I get to my D. But yeah, so this is easy. I just have to cut a few trenches, place my wires, glue the top, and then it's done. Well, the assembly's done. I still have to putty and fill it, which is what I did. I puttied and I filled it. But yeah, stupid me, I might have cut into it a little too deep. You can see the wires all the way through, but paint will cover that. Don't need to light block that thing at least. Whew. Alright, on to the nacelles. This is fairly simple. There are two little holes in the back I decided to cut out, similar to what the Enterprise D has a bit. They have a little bit of a blue light in the back. I figured the C will have the same thing. So this thing's ready to be light blocked, and that's it for that. Now on to the deflector dish. It's a shame they decided to make this as one piece, the housing and the dish itself. It makes it a little bit more difficult to actually, paint this fucker. But, well, we'll get to that. First thing I did was I sanded the back to diffuse the light a bit. I'm actually going to spray some clear smoke onto the back of it to enhance the diffusion effect. Here you can see I masked things off and got it ready to paint. You'll see those results in the next video though. Next up are the Bussard collectors. They have the same issue as the deflector. The housing around it is molded as clear as well, which makes it a little bit more difficult to paint. So first thing I did, sanded the back, then I did it to the other one as well. And I didn't take pictures of this for this video, but I masked it and I got it ready to paint just a little rim around there. Okay, here's a close-up of the saucer rim of the studio model. This is, I think, when it was about to be the Yamaguchi, but I don't think they changed the saucer edge from the Enterprise C. So you'll notice it's flat, and it has the sensor bands going around, and it has panel lines going down the edge. Look at the garbage I got from AMT. Look at this shit. Look at those ridges. Fucking ugly. Doesn't look anything like it. What is it with AMT doing that? I mean, they do it for the Excelsior, they do it for the Reliant, and they do it for the Enterprise C. Just because it has sensor bands doesn't mean it's actually physical blocks sticking out. Fucking morons. Anyway, sand that down. I sanded that down, nice and smooth, all the way around. Took a bit of time, but I did. I thought of filling it with putty, but then it would be a pain in the ass with my windows, right? I'd have to re-drill them a bit or make sure I don't get putty in there, and that's fucking ridiculous to do. So I just sanded the plastic down. Next up, I gotta get those panel lines there, right? So I took out my scribing tool and I took out some electrical tape and I sort of lined up the tape with the panel lines on the top of the saucer and put the tape down as if the panel line continued. Then I gently scratched it with my scribing tool, removed the tape, and then really gouged into it to make a nice deep trench. And that took a bit of time actually. There's about 90 or so, 92 lines you have to do all the way around the saucer. Round two, if you ever plan on re-releasing this in clear again or doing this again in opaque, maybe you can change the molds. You could flatten out that rim, add those little grooves. It shouldn't be too difficult to do, I hope. We'll see. So yeah, after that I light blocked everything, all the parts. I light blocked it up into the gray primer. First I layered up some black, then I did gray. The last one I'm going to do is going to be white, shiny white, so the light has somewhere to reflect around. But that'll do when I do individual sections. Here you can see I did a little light test. I just held it in front of my lamp, my desk lamp there, and well, the windows actually came up pretty well. Yeah, light leaks, I see them here and there around the window edges, but that should disappear with paint. Yeah, so it looks pretty cool. That's it for me. At least for this video. I guess you can call this one part modification. Next time will be the saucer, lighting it and finishing it, hopefully. I don't want to take too long before the next video. But join me next time and watch me turn this big pile of shit into the lovely Enterprise C.